India has become only the fourth country in history to land a spacecraft on the moon and the first ever to land at the moon's south pole.
Emergency services in Greece, Turkey, Italy and Spain battle wildfires along the Mediterranean front. Authorities issue new evacuation orders.
Who is here to encourage.
A proud and historic moment for India and its Prime Minister as its probe successfully landed on the moon. Celebrations in the control room for the first ever landing on the moon's south pole. India becomes only the fourth country ever to complete a moon landing, after the USA, the Soviet Union and China. The landing site on the far side of the moon was chosen because it's thought that craters there could hold frozen water. Inside the six-wheeled lander is the rover module of Chandrayaan-3, which is designed to carry out tests and bring back samples of rocks and soil. The Indian launch on July the 14th pitched it into an unexpected moon race with Russia, but its probe failed to make the surface and crashed earlier this week. Coming after an unsuccessful attempt in 2019, this mission has revived and rewarded India's space dreams.
Wrapped in a suffocating cloud of thick smoke, Athens woke up on Wednesday to more wildfires. Greek authorities in the capital say they are most concerned about the inferno near Mount Parnes, and the national park here is in danger of going up in flames. So far, this new bout of wildfires has claimed the lives of 20 people, and officials have issued new evacuation orders. The Alexandroupolis region in the northeast of the country is most affected, and there is no sign of these flames slowing down. Çanakkale in neighbouring Turkey is also being evacuated. A forced halt of all vessels sailing through the Dardanelles Strait has also been issued due to the lack of visibility from the heavy smoke. Dozens of people here have been treated for smoke inhalation. The blazes have also made headlines in Italy. 17 cities are on red alert due to the intense heat. 2 fires broke out on the hills near San Remo, close to the French border. While most of the evacuees on the Spanish island of Tenerife have returned home, the country is now dealing with a forest fire north of the Iberian Peninsula. These images have been recorded in Rebadeo, Asturias. Some residents here are in danger of losing their homes. More bloodshed west of Idlib city in Syria. At least 2 civilians were killed and 5 injured when Russian troops shelled an abandoned water pumping station on Tuesday night in the rebel-held province. The victims were treated by volunteers from the White Helmets rescue group.
شفنا انه في آلة وفي خلق تحت الرديم وفي بقر وفي غنم وفي كل شيء. هني جماعة نازحين اصلا من رويحة وقاعدين بالمحطة هون.
There has been a recent uptick in Russian attacks in this part of the country, mostly controlled by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, an Islamist group reportedly close to al-Qaeda. About 3 million people live in the region. Moscow's forces have been active in Syria since 2015, helping the al-Assad regime recover most of the ground lost in the early years of the civil war. The conflict began in 2011. 500,000 people have lost their lives and millions have been displaced.
Ukrainian forces say they have recaptured a clutch of territory around the eastern war-battered town of Bakhmut, but have made no major advances on the southern front, according to the country's deputy defence minister. However, evidence of attacks beyond Russia's front line has been released. Ukraine media has reported that saboteurs, coordinated by Kyiv's military intelligence, carried out a pair of recent drone attacks that hit parked bomber aircraft at air bases deep inside Russia. Hours later, Russia's Air Force scrambled 2 jets to force 2 drones near the Crimean Peninsula, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has just returned from a whirlwind trip to 3 European capitals. Washington gave European countries permission to send Kyiv US-made F-16 fighter jets. Meanwhile, Ukraine's government is intensifying its clampdown on corruption. Dozens of raids were conducted on military enlistment offices. The probes follow allegations that officials helped citizens to obtain disability certificates to avoid military service.
The Ukrainian advance in their bulletin area in western Zaporizhia region brings Ukrainian forces closer to launching operations against second lines of defense that may be relatively weaker than the first Russian defensive line in this area. The Institute for the Study of War says Russian forces deployed to the wider western Zaporizhia area have been defending against Ukrainian counter-offensive since the start of it without rotation. They do not appear to have uncommitted regular units in this area. This suggests that second lines of Russian defense may be significantly less heavily defended. Ukrainian offensive operations in other sectors of the front remain important because they can fix Russian units in place and prevent further lateral reinforcement. Ukrainian offensive operations south of Velika Novosilka, here in this area, proceeding in parallel with operations towards Melitopol in this direction, present Russian defenders with multiple dilemmas and the need to choose which axis to reinforce. Ukrainian offensive operations around Bakhmut here have fixed elements of multiple Russian airborne divisions and separate brigades in the area, as the Institute for the Study of War has previously noted, rendering them likely unavailable to stiffen Russian resistance in the south of Ukraine. The Institute for the Study of War states sound campaign design requires balancing between waging a decisive main effort and avoiding allowing the enemy to concentrate all reserves on stopping a single obvious thrust.
All 8 people have been rescued from a stricken cable car high above a remote valley in Pakistan. Army commandos were helped by civilian volunteers in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province to reach the remaining 3 people late on Tuesday. 6 school children were among those who'd been left hanging in the broken cable gondola for nearly 15 hours while their families looked on desperately. The daring rescue began with a helicopter plucking 2 children to safety after almost 12 hours in the air, but as daylight faded, the chopper was forced back to base in the dark. Then rescuers used the cable keeping the gondola from plunging into the valley as a zip line to rescue the rest of those stranded late into the night. Cable cars are common across the northern areas of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province and are vital in connecting villages and towns in areas where roads cannot be built.
Record-breaking temperatures are expected to hit the French city of Lyon in the coming days, and many find themselves looking for shade. With a heat dome settled above this part of Europe, some tourists from the north of France are surprised by the temperature difference.
On est arrivé à 11h, 15 ce matin à la gare. Il y a 15 degrés d'écart, donc ouais, quand même.
Emphasis has been put on green spaces to counter the heat wave. With opening hours extended, inhabitants can benefit from parks in the city for their relative coolness. It is one of the few measures put in place by the city to help its inhabitants to cope with the heat.
While several departments in southeastern France are on maximum alert due to the heat wave, some town halls like this one here are setting up air-conditioned rooms to protect their residents.
For Véronique Dubois-Bertrand, mayor of Lyon's 3rd district, creating such space is crucial for the most vulnerable people.
Les personnes âgées qui d'habitude jouent au tarot ou à la belote dans les parcs peuvent venir ici pour faire leur partie au frais et continuer à avoir cette vie sociale qui est importante.
This is the case for Michelle, who decided to come and enjoy this space away from her apartment, which she says she cannot cool down.
Et que chez moi il fait trop chaud. Au bout de quelques jours, enfin depuis 3 jours, on ne peut pas faire descendre la température
température en dessous de 30 degrés et c'est même 31 aujourd'hui. Donc,
But more permanent solutions are needed in European cities. A recent study found that 62,000 people died in Europe of heat-related causes during 2022, while 2023 already broke several heat records.
As southern Europe grapples with wildfires caused by the intense heat, some of its smallest victims need an extra pair of hands to escape the flames. Along with the tragic loss of human life, the death toll of trapped animals, wild or domestic, is growing. In Athens, animals in the Ano-Liosia district were rescued by volunteers. Dogs, cats and even turtles were among the creatures saved. Many stayed behind while their owners were evacuated or fled in a hurry from the flames. In some places, such as Tenerife, shelters have been created for animals affected by evacuations.
Los perros están un poco estresados porque no están en su hábitat normal. Pero bueno, un poco así cuando ven un perro que no conocen y tal, pero están bien.
No, aquí no le falta de nada, la verdad, y menos mal, porque claro, como salimos con lo que poco que teníamos y demás.
But being tied down to man's best friend all day can be exhausting. Volunteers know this and help however they can.
Cuando los propietarios a lo mejor no están aquí porque necesitan coger aire y demás, nos ofrecemos voluntarios para pasearlos y que también desconecten un poco de estar aquí encerrados a las 24 horas.
Despite the hardship they faced, these pets are lucky. Wildfires claim millions of animal lives globally every year, many of whom are endangered.